Welcome back to another segment of Finances with Uncle Nev. Today's topic is an intelligent approach to you earning $100,000 annually, living comfortably. Let me repeat that. An intelligent approach to you earning $100,000 annually, living comfortably. Now you ask, Uncle Nev, why $100,000? I'm only making 30, 40, $50,000 a year, and here you talk about $100,000. Well, here's the deal. No one can correctly come up with a number that fits the entire America. So what I have decided to do, or what I decided to do, was to come up with a method. And the method was try to get the averages between 5 states that are at the high end and 5 states that are at the low end. Now, dealing with someone living comfortably in the 5 highest states, surprisingly, Massachusetts comes in at $116,000 a year. Hawaii, California, and New York, they're very close in numbers at $113,000. And Washington comes in at 106. Moving to the right side of the equation, we're going to be looking at the low end. West Virginia comes in close to $79,000. Arkansas and Oklahoma comes in second, closer to $81,000. And we have North Dakota and Kentucky bringing up the rear. In order to come up with this $100,000, what I did, I took Massachusetts' number and West Virginia's number, add them together, got the average, and round things off to the nearest $5,000. And that's your $100,000. Now that we have that out of the way, let's go to the board. And just in addition to the $100,000, another reason why 100 was used is that 100% is easier to work with $100,000. So hopefully this should help the folks who are earning less than $100,000. Now let's get into the numbers. You as an employee, the federal government and the state government determine that the company must withdraw or deduct from your pay taxes. So it was very easy to calculate the federal taxes for you making $100,000 a year. As a matter of fact, the number came up to, let's say federal tax came out to $17,053. Now, the state was far more difficult to calculate because each state has their own system. Some states have municipal taxes, that taxes, that kind of taxes. So after going back and forth, I arrived at a number that hopefully would cover everything. So let's say state tax is equal to 5347. What we have here is a total between the state and federal $22,400. And when we subtract that from the $100,000, we're left with $77,600. Now, when you walk into the store, you have a tendency of not looking at prices. You just pick items up, you walk away, and of course, you pay for it. But this kind of behavior invariably leads to disaster because what will happen in the long run is that you'll find yourself underwater, you'll continue to be poor, and you will continue to be stressed out. Now, in an earlier video, I spoke about having goals and plans that will facilitate victory. So remember, I had goal, and over here I had plan. Today, I would like to add another term, and it's called budgeting. So when you put the three together, goal, budgeting, a plan, budgeting is can be classified as a traffic light. It tells you when to spend, when not to spend. It tells you when you're in danger, and it tells you when you should take it slowly. So, for all practical purposes, now we have guardrails, we have a framework, we have direction as to exactly what we should be doing, and overall, we have a better understanding on how we're going to reach our financial goals. Now, there are many concepts or many ways of arriving as to how we should be spending our money. And I'm going to discuss two in particular. One is called the 50, 30, 20. So that's 50, 30, 20. Call it a rule. 50 represents your needs. That means survival. Wants represents 30, and the other is 20% represents savings and debt repayment. Another method I like to work with you on is 75, 10, 10, 5. I, for one, I do not really care much about the first one, 50, 30, 20. The reason being very simple. Folks tend to mix in wants with needs, and the numbers are not as clear cut as they should be. So let's take a look now at this concept down here. We have 10 that represents investments. And investments here, folks, I'm talking about 401ks, Roth IRAs. And if your employer gives or have a 401k plan, by all means do take it. So whether they are giving you or matching you 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, whatever it is, find a way to take it because this is free money. You do not want under any circumstances to walk away from it because over time it adds up. We also have stocks and bonds. And again, the program that your employer have, this should be well laid out for you. But there are other kinds of investments like real estate. You might say, oh, I don't want to become a landlord. It's too tiresome. But you do not have to be a landlord. There are companies and programs out there wherein just by sending them dollars, these funds are invested with other people's funds. And at the end of specific periods, you get a check in the form of interest. And when the funds grow even larger, you might think of other investments like art, crypto, land, etc., etc. Our second one of the 10% is emergency, and it is called uncontrollable events. Out of the clear blue sky, when you least expect it, something happens, and you better have the money to take care of things. Now, the third one is what we call disposable income. This is what's left. And disposable covers things like vacation, entertainment, and clothing. Let me spend a couple of seconds here on vacation and tell you how very, very important it is to attempt to take a vacation at least once a year. Think of a car. You're driving around town to work, taking trips, whatever it is, and over time it becomes sluggish. You look on the tires and they're bald. Eventually, you have to take it into the shop. And here they're now forced to do a tune up, change the tires, change the oil, change the fluids. And when that car comes back out, it's running just as though it was brand new. This or that is you. When you take a vacation, it distresses you. It cleans up all the cobwebs in your system and make you become vibrant
Such a vibrant thing.
and healthy again. So a vacation is very important. Now, there are many types of vacation. Perhaps you like to be out with Mother Nature, taking trail walks, or you might like the water, scuba diving, or you might like things like what happened down in the islands where you have a lot of fresh fruits, fresh air, a lot of dancing and what have you. Or you might be the quiet person who just want to read a book or watch the stars at night. So I must stress vacation is very, very, very important. Without a vacation, you can run into problems. Now, the last one is what we call all others, the 75%. So just to repeat, 5% is disposable, 10% is investment, and 10% is emergency. That leaves us with a whole 75%. And what does this 75% cover? Well, I give you an idea of some of these things. We are talking about housing, utilities, food, transportation, credit card debt, pet care, subscriptions, and on and on and on it goes. In other words, this 75% here is going to cover all other. So after we subtract the federal taxes and what have you, we are now left with the 77,600. So let's move this number over. We said emergency, and 10% of that is 7,600. We spoke about investment, and that's going to abbreviate here, 77,600. And then the 5%, let's call it disposable. We're talking about here, let's see, the number for disposable is 3880. That leaves us with a number of 58,200. My friends, is your 75% you got to spend. Now, in my previous video, I asked you to do an assignment. That was to put on a sheet of paper what this number looked like for you. And you're going to see exactly why I asked you to do it, because what you're going to discover is, in your case, this 58,200, making $100,000 a year, will not cover everything. As a matter of fact, you are not able, or you were not able to set aside emergency funds or investments, or you had no disposable income. You weren't even able to take a GOS bus from one point to another, or the train. And yet still you're struggling here with the 58.2. At the end of the day, you might find yourself spending 75, $80,000. And then you ask yourself, what went wrong? So you might say to me, Uncle Nev, look, I know what you're talking about, but I've not been able to achieve this line at all. No 10% for investment, no 10% for emergency, no disposable income. And here I'm overspending. So what you're saying to me don't make a whole lot of sense. My friend, that's where this course comes in. This is what's so important about it, because I'm going to suggest to you, I'm going to show you how you'll be able to stay within the confines of this 58,200, thereby enjoy the finer things of life. Now, if this video is very helpful to you and makes a lot of sense, and I hope it does, once again, do not be selfish. Share this with your friends and family. And if they like the video, have them hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and also ring the bell. Because by so doing, it tells me that what I am giving you is worthwhile, and it's helping you to change your positions from being poor to a position where your financial health would have improved. So until next time, this is Uncle Dev saying, have a good day and keep it simple.